Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of David Vlogs, and today we're in a very special place, Hanina Gem in Nairobi. This is the Karen Blixen light at the foot of Gong Hills. So I'm here with a friend who is a tour guide here. Maybe you introduce yourself and tell us more about Karen Blixen.
Okay, so hi, my name is Alice. I'm a guide in Karen Blixen Museum. Karen Blixen was the first house museum in Kenya, and this house keeps the heritage of Karen Town. I know most people don't know about this place. It's the heritage of Karen Town. So as we proceed, you learn more about Karen Blixen.
Okay, so maybe just to be curious, when did Karen arrive in Kenya?
Uh, she came to Kenya in 1914. It was 13th January 1914, and she came here with her dog, her Scottish Deerhound Dusk.
Okay.
So they were escaping the World War in Germany. Their families advised them to move to British East Africa. That was before Kenya was divided. So they came here. She came here with her husband, Baron Breuer Blixen, and they had to start a business. They were told to start cattle farming.
So that is
14.
1914. So a brief history of I've read about this place. I had something to do with coffee, baron, writing books. Yeah, maybe you take us through just brief, maybe from when she came, when she left, and how the place has been.
Okay, I'd prefer I start with Karen's history
Yes.
in large. So Karen Dinesen was born in Ungstedland, Denmark on 17th April 1885. She was the second born to Wilhelm and Ingeborg Dinesen in a family of 5 children. So Karen studied arts and literature. She was good in doing paintings and writing books. So at the age of 28, that's when her Swedish half cousin by the name Baron Breuer Blixen proposed to her. That was in 1913, and that time the rumors of the First World War had started in Germany. So their families advised them to move to a safer country that was now British East Africa. So Karen's husband, Baron, was the first person to come here. He settled in Naivasha. Yeah, and it was a 700-acre farm, and he started cattle farming. So coincidentally, his neighbor Lord Delamere decided to trick him and told him that cattle farming will not give him millions, but coffee farming will. So he sold his cattle farm and he bought a 4,500-acre farm that coffee had already been planted in it. That was on the other side of the road. So Karen followed him the following year. He said 13th January 1914. She came here with all her belongings, and she had to agree to do coffee farming. So first of all, they stayed in a rental house. It was called Bagabi House from 1914 to 1917. In 1917 is when they purchased another acre, a 1,500 acre that came with a fully furnished house. So this was the house. The house was built by a Swedish engineer, Ek Jogre, from 1911 to 1912. Karen named this house Bogani House, a house in the forest. It's a Maasai word meaning a house in the forest. So initially now they had a 6,000-acre farm. That's now the current town. So the 6,000-acre farm, she divided it into four, 600 for coffee farm, 1,000 for the local people, 2,000 for the grass, and 2,400 for the trees. So she stayed here with the people very well. She found the Kikuyu people and the Maasai people living in the farm. She was able to build a school for the 200 families. Communicating with them was not easy, but she did her best. She administered first aid to the locals, and she also treated the people in a nice manner, like one of her kind. So she stayed here with her husband Baron until 1918, when her husband lost interest in coffee farming and he left, leaving Karen here alone to take care of the farm. So in 1915, she was given syphilis. She had to go back home for treatment. The treatment was arsenic acid and mercury that destroyed her womb, and also she could not get children, and her hair started falling off. So the treatment altered with her health later on. So she wanted a divorce with the husband. When the husband came back from the hunting safaris, she asked for a divorce and he moved out of the house in 1921. So she found love again in Dennis Fincherton. They met in a club. The club was called Mudaiga Country Club. The club was owned by her best friend, Barclay Cole. So Buckley Cole is the one who introduced Karen to Demise Finch-Hatton in the club. So they became good friends and then they became good lovers. So from time to time, they used to go out on hunting safaris. Demise was the one who taught Karen to hunt. Yeah. And they used to spend most of the time in Gong Hills. Demise was a businessman, a pilot, and a hunter. So from time to time, they started facing challenges in the farm. Like, this is not a good place to grow coffee. It's a high altitude. It's 6,000 feet, and the soil is too acidic to grow coffee. And then she had a coffee factory that accidentally burnt down immediately after it was completed. So her family, that's when her family stopped funding her. The main source of support was her family. So they stopped funding her and she started to sell parts of the 6,000 acres and decided that she wants to go back home in Denmark. So in 1931 is when she made the final decision. She decided to relocate. She ended up selling her furniture, most of the things in the house. Some of them she gave them to her friend, Lady Macmillan, who was starting a library, the Macmillan Library. And she planned to go to Denmark with her lover, Demise Finch-Hatton. So accidentally, her lover died in a plane crash. He was a pilot. He died at Voi when coming back to Nairobi, and that was really sad to Karen. And she went back home alone on 31st August 1931. So in Denmark, she never gave up literature. She went there, continued writing books. She had started writing the Out of Africa here in the house, parts of her biography life in Africa. So she went back to Denmark to publish them. The first book was Seven Gothic Tales that was published in 1934, and the second book was Out of Africa that was published in 1937. And she used pseudonyms or pen names like Isaac Dinesen, Pierre Andrizel, or Tanya Blixen, because that time females were not recognized as authors. So she continued that way. She was able to go to New York to advertise her literature work in 1959 at the age of 74. And later on, when she went back home, she started suffering from malnutrition or lack of appetite. So that's when she succumbed to malnutrition. She was 77 years. It was 9th September 1962. She succumbed to the malnutrition. So that's Karen's history.